any dibs on leading the meeting?
I've got this feeling that Rebecca wants to, but I'm happy to. So never my forte, but let's start with procedural items. The first motion is approval of the November 2024 meeting minutes. Do we have any comments or corrections? Yes.
I believe I need to call roll.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so welcome to the Boulder Junction Access District Parking and Travel Demand Management Joint Commission's meeting. We are recording. It is January 22nd, 2025, and I will call roll. Ryan Cook.
Present.
Kevin Knapp.
Present.
Robin Ronan.
Present.
Rebecca Dumichel.
Present.
Stephanie Pike. I don't believe she's present. I will keep an eye out for her. Susan Prant.
Present.
Jennifer Shriver.
Present.
Thank you. All right, I will turn the meeting over to Chairs Ronan and Dumichel for procedural items. Thank you.
Okay. So now the first matter is we will be discussing the approval of November 2024 meeting minutes. First and foremost, are there any corrections or comments that need to be addressed? Rebecca.
I have one, Robin. I had switched my email and I think there's a problem that I don't actually have the packet for this meeting.
Oh, well, that is unfortunate. If you private text me your email, I will go ahead and send you the packet right now. It came on January 16th at 3:25 p.m.
I can send it to her. I have her email.
Even perfect. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate you for doing that. Do you want to wait until you have the meeting minutes before you either make a motion or vote?
I think there's a motion on the table, so I will defer to the team here. So
I move that we approve the November minutes.
I second. Can I get hands for approval?
Aye.
Okay, I'm seeing all unanimous for approving.
Did you get the packet, Rebecca?
I'm looking for it. It hasn't come through yet.
Okay, moving on to the election of vice chair for BJAD parking. Chris is having connectivity issues, so they're still here. But we still do not have a vice chair for BJAD. And I know our group is small, but once again, do we have anyone who can or wants to step up into that position?
They would have to be a parking person, correct? So
yes, I'm sorry, of the
yeah.
BJAD Parking Commission.
That would have to be Ryan, Kevin, Rebecca, or Rob. You're Robin. So.
Yeah. Ryan, Rebecca, or Kevin?
I already have a role on one of them.
Yeah,
so
Rebecca's already got one. Ryan or Kevin?
I think Kevin said no. I mean, I kind of would
Yeah.
give a similar answer in the sense that it'd be nice for newer people to take that on. But
Yeah.
If it's important that we have someone assigned that, I'm happy to
I guess
to be
this is a
that.
question. Yeah, I guess this is a question for Chris and the team over there. Given the size and the fact that you and Kevin have definitely been serving what feels like in perpetuity at this point, I'm fine if we let this go for right now until a later date. I just want to see if that is allowable. Chris? think Chris is having connectivity problems. So
Yeah,
if it's okay, yes?
Oh, sorry about that, Robin. Yeah, we're seeing, hopefully we can get an answer for you. I think that's
Yeah.
okay. We continue to defer it. I'll leave it to Chris Jones to give us that authority, but yeah, I think we're okay.
Yeah. I'm okay with deferring it to Chris. I mean, Kevin and Ryan have both like gone way above and beyond on this. So I'd love to just recruit some new people and get some new fresh blood in the group who are able to discuss it. If we're okay to defer, or if we want to table that till later, I don't want to stop the commission recruitment update, which I quite frankly, I think is probably applicable to this topic.
It's not a lot.
Yeah, why don't we table that for the time being?
Let's table that and go on to commission recruitment. Kennedy?
All right. So currently there are no applications. So we are hoping that they will start coming in before the end date of the 31st. And we did put out some BJAD specific flyers in the area to try to recruit more for that. So hopefully, that works out, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
Sue, do you have a comment on that?
I guess I have a question since Ryan, me, and Kevin are all beyond our term, and it looks like Jennifer's term will expire this year, then that's the majority of people beyond their term. What happens? What happens if we all say, screw it, I gotta do something else and leave?
So let me chime in. Sorry, I could hear everything, but my connection is lost. So I'm on my phone now. So I might chime in first. According to the forming legislation for the GIDs, we do need to have a chair and vice chair. So if we don't elect one, then it will defer to whoever was the vice chair before, but I think that was Rebecca. Can't be both the chair and vice chair, so there'd be some something we need to figure out there, whoever was vice chair previously, perhaps, I don't know. Secondly, we do know we have some applicants for BJAD parking and TDM that will be in front of council. As some good candidates, so hopeful that we'll be able to fill some seats that have long expired. And yes, hopefully we do not find ourselves in a position where you guys are so sick of us that you don't want to, that you want to resign from the commission. And then we have certainly a challenge there to figure out. So I'm hopeful that come May, we will have some new commissioners and folks will get some relief.
Thanks, Chris. I mean, so
Thanks, Chris.
as far as
And Rebecca, I see your hand.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry, could we actually be a little bit more specific on how many applications we have and whether or not those are publicly listed yet? They used to be publicly listed, right, the applications?
I might defer to Ellie to see if she's received anything as our liaison to the city clerk's office. They're the ones that keep a record of everything.
I can reach out to John. He had told me on Friday that they didn't have any applications. So you saying that they do is news for me. So I can reach out to John and see if he's got more detailed information about that we can send out to y'all.
Okay, and then the second thing is you said that there were BJAD specific flyers. Can you share an electronic copy of that with us for distribution and also provide a little bit more detail on where you've posted those and whether or not there was like mail outs to addresses in the district?
I'm sure folks can provide an email update on recruitment efforts. So also want to point out that the application, doesn't close till the end of the month, so we won't have the final report from city clerk's office with all the applicants until then.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I wouldn't want to duplicate any efforts, but I also know that sometimes, just on, the transportation side, right, that we've tried working with the property managers and communications don't always trickle all the way down to property owners.
Yeah. Ryan, I want to acknowledge your hand.
Thanks. I just was gonna say, if it's important that we have someone in the vice chair position, I'm happy to be vice chair until we have new commissioners.
If that is an acceptable solution, and first of all, thank you so much for stepping up to do that. But since Rebecca can't serve, I will go ahead and accept that and promise to put as little on you as possible, as I know you're filling in, but I do appreciate you stepping into that role.
Happy to do it.
Are we all comfortable now with so we do have to, I believe, go to a ballot for electing Ryan now that he's offered. So may I get a motion on whether or not we can elect Ryan Cook as the vice chair for BJUD Parking Commission?
A motion to elect Ryan Cook as vice chair of the Parking Commission.
We'll second that. Can we get a vote?
Jennifer and I can't vote.
I know, because you're not on Parking Commission. I am seeing Ryan. I think you actually are allowed to vote for yourself. Okay.
I
Okay.
think
So
you're
it's like
required to vote for yourself in this case.
I know in this case you put yourself forward. Okay. So we have. I do not hear from Kevin, but I have 3 yeses.
Aye.
And Kevin is an affirmative. Okay, great. So that passes. Thank you so much, Ryan, for stepping into that role. And so we're able to get a new commissioner. I believe that we have gotten the commission recruitment update and that you will be sending out the electronic version to the commissioners so that we can see that and also help spread the word to get some more people in there. I'm excited to see who the new people that are going before City Council are. With that, I'd like to open us up to public participation. Do we have any members of the public here today?
We do. We have Travis Hugh Coley, and I am now allowing to talk on Zoom.
Fantastic.
Travis, you are
Hi.
muted. Oh, there you go. Yep.
Hi.
Hello,
hi.
Travis, and welcome.
Thank you so much for taking my participation. I really don't have much to say other than I'm making introductions in so much as I can. Let me see if I can read what I've said here. No big comments here. Welcome to the new year. I'll take this time reserved for participation just to say hi. Chat is turned off for me, Ellie. That's why I couldn't respond to you. Traffic calming measures degraded by construction need to be restored on Junction Place. You know, this is lamps that are broken along that way too. I know we're going into a new stage as spring comes. We're going to see Block 30 come alive, and I'm really excited about that. And so I kind of think that review of the traffic calming measures on Junction Place might be warranted now that those big trucks are out of the way. I took a peek at Google Maps, and there's some differences from Google Maps to what we have here, and it looks as though there were traffic calming measures that might have been taken back off the ground because of trucks getting in and out of Block 30. So to review that, you know, in general, looking forward, I hope to communicate issues that come up. I think we should just, like the whole neighborhood should maintain a course of caution because anything can kind of happen at any time. And maybe there's a way to integrate the new fire department into this conversation at a later point because they're new neighbors too. That's all.
Travis, first of all, thank you very much for your thoughtful comments. We always appreciate when members of the public come. I would like to let you know that if you ever want to share with us any materials of things or concerns or photos that you have, you can email those to the commission. We'll be happy to take a look at those and also bring them up in public meetings. But obviously, you're also always welcome to come back, and I hope you do come back in the future. Do we have any other members? Do we have any other members of the public right now?
We do not.
And I saw you unmute, Rebecca. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that the traffic calming measures that you're referring to are the bollards along the shared pedestrian plaza of Junction Place.
Well, yes, there's been, because of, it's really unclear for drivers how to operate on Junction Place around that curve going north and south. And people's tendency is to drive pretty quickly. And that's led to some lamps broken down. That's the first thing I see. But if there are bollards to replace, yeah, I can't imagine those have been taken down. I know that there are some that are on, I know your point of distinction. There's a number of bollards around the building that I think have been knocked down. That's not directly what I'm referring to in the Boulder Depot building. I'm really speaking more to what's on Junction Place, which makes an S curve between the construction and the bus station.
Yeah, some of those short black metal things that line the roadway, not all of them are lights. Some of them, they all look the same, but not all of them are lights. And they've been hit over the years multiple times by private drivers as well as construction drivers. So I do know that sometimes there's been gaps in replacing them, but thank you for
Once they're
sharing.
gone, if you can still hear me, once they're gone, and if traffic is not, curtailed or restrained, or if those measures are not restored, they're hard to get back. Just that's my experience from these
Okay.
kinds of. So I want to put that on the top of my list of points to raise.
And then Travis, just one more question, if I can ask. Are you an employee or which complex do you reside in?
I'm in the Boulder Depot building.
Okay, great.
Um,
Thank you.
And
All
no,
right.
I'm not an employee of the city.
Thanks. Okay. Thank you for sharing, staff, if we can capture that. And then one other thing I will share is that if you use the Inquire Boulder app, you can also take pictures and report it directly to the city department. That also takes that at any time that those things come down. And that's how I usually handle it too, as a member of the public.
I'll look into that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Dumichel, for sharing your expertise on that. Do we have any other members of the public that would like to speak today?
We do not.
Thank you so much. Okay, with that, I believe we are moving into the consent agenda portion of the meeting. Does anyone have any questions? I'm not hearing anything. I'm seeing a lot of shaking heads. Do we have any questions on the current financials report or the visitation report?
I found it a little confusing, but
Do you have any specific questions, Sue, that you would like to ask about
it's
those?
just sort of hard to read because of the charts and stuff. I don't know.
May I ask which
Might
report
be
you're
the
referring
dark
to?
background. I think really.
It might be. I'm a little colorblind myself, and I struggle with this
It's
sometimes.
a little bit of a weird layout, is all I would say. And then the dark black background makes it a little harder to comprehend. Because I'm thinking that this is like just a screenshot of this kind of spending performance, and because Boulder Junction GID is a different color, we're looking at this for them, and the others are like the other districts. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sue, I think I follow you. It's kind of hard to hear you. So yes, there's two reports. It's a PDF report from a platform called Power BI. And you'll see that the dark black portion of the fund is highlighted there. So there's one for Boulder Junction General Improvement District parking, and also Boulder Junction General Improvement TDM. You'll see that there's also all the associated revenues with those districts, respectively, being as TDM doesn't have any quote unquote products that are being sold. I will say, however, that this will probably be the last time, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your point of view, that you'll see this report. We transitioned to a new financial system And with that transition, our reporting process has also changed some as well. So that will be on the lookout, and I'll certainly take into account the color of the report, and hopefully it will come through a little bit more clear next time.
Yeah, just the dark background, and then it took me a minute to figure out that, oh, okay, I was looking at, because that was in black versus the others were inside of a lighter black, that
Correct.
it was referring to us.
Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, I had one more question. This improvement district analysis set staff has selected progressive urban management. This is for downtown, correct? This doesn't refer to us.
It refers to all of our GIDs.
Oh. So what's that going to do? Evaluate government and things?
We have an agenda item later we'll be discussing.
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Any other comments, questions about the agenda items from the commissioners?
I look forward to what the new software shows us. And then hopefully maybe we can also hide budget items that have neither budget nor unplanned expenses
Yeah,
as well to clean up the view. So
looking forward to that new software too.
That's the resounding resentment of everybody.
Everybody wants new software. Everybody wants new software. Thank you, everyone. I am going to move on to the BTC update with Will.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. Good to be back for another round. I would like to say hello to, I believe it was Travis, member of the public, if this is still audible to him. If you live in the Depot Square community, you're eligible for numerous transportation benefits. Your property coordinator is very likely still Sally Vigil, that's V-I-G-I-L, and they have a leasing office on the north side of the building that faces the Roadhouse. I don't honestly see it open very often, but Sally is really well communicative with me. If you need a free transit pass, the B-Cycle, which is our electric community bike share system, as well as Colorado Car Share, which has an all-electric vehicle in your garage and 2 more just across the street. Also have full respect for your traffic calming considerations, so thank you for bringing that to the table. Overall, I've continued to help manage those benefits over the holiday season. We've had really good interaction with some of our large employers, NetApp in particular. There is an update to share with the group that one of our employers, it's listed as Trans Perfect, but also has some subsidies of transitions, and I think another company, and they are planning to move out of Boulder Junction back to their original office within the Cajun district. So just a point of reference that 60 to 85 staff on our EcoPass roster will move off, as well as a little bit less employee travel. They were attempting back to work plans last summer and fall, return to office plans, and I would defer to them to say how they're going to plan that for downtown. But we are essentially losing one business tenant. On some big positives, we have Winter Bike to Work Day coming up on Valentine's Day, which is a Friday this year, February 14th, and the Cassiopeia Boutique, which is located at approximately 34th and Meredith Street, is great. A friend, Diana, is operating that with a small, lean team. They are getting like 60 to 65 people riding every Saturday, even when it's freezing, as sort of a preparation for another ride. So they are doing a fantastic job of community building and sort of an anchor point, which is immediately across the street from Sundry, our local beer, wine, and cheese market. So it's great to see that corner of the district getting some good activation. They're also participating in the city's Clean Commute program to an impressive degree. They will probably deplete the grant funds the chambers acquired and be contributing their own financial investment, which will be matched by the city, to continually encourage this sustainable transportation, what I call discretionary commuting choices for non-solo driving. There are a few points I would like to share with the group. I'll pause before sending a link to see if anyone has an objection, but we are helping the city with the core arterial network planning, particularly along 30th Street, with the Boulder Junction community and a little bit in the Steel Yards, which is technically outside of our taxation district. But I do have an invitation for next Tuesday. Yes, less than a week from now. We'll be meeting at the 30 Pearl Bluebell building, which faces Mason and Rev Apartments immediately west of Zeal Restaurant and the Open Studios art gallery. So I would love to share that with invitations for anyone who could relay to residents within the community or immediately adjacent. So maybe let me know if there's any objection to sharing that link to the Boulder Chamber event registration page. And if there are no objections, I'm happy to send that for distribution among your networks.
I have no objection. Does anyone else in the group have an objection?
Great.
Well, we're not hearing any objections, so feel free to do that.
Okay, I'll send that link in the chat. That is sort of referenced in the Boulder Junction event calendar, and that's where we will also be posting 2 other events in February that are slightly outside of our community's focus, but part of this, I'm going to say crucial, certainly a priority project called the Core Arterial Network. Folsom Street will be the next study. And so my supervisor, Karen Warminghouse, wanted me to bring that to everyone's attention, that we'll have an open house at the downtown, I think it's former city council chambers. But on February 12th, there's a Folsom initial open house, and then we'll be hosting a business focus group at the chamber in February. So I will provide more of a recap at our March meeting on how those are going. I do have another event this evening, but I'm happy to open to any questions if anything comes up at the moment.
Does anyone have any follow-up questions for Will? I'm not seeing any hands. Let me check. Thank you for just so you know, the link is now posted in the chat. Will, I'm not seeing any questions.
Okay, well, I will close with one of my personal priority projects for my work plan with the chamber. Getting the Boulder Junction RTD station reopened is a long and somewhat lofty goal. We will be planning a RTD transit survey to distribute among the Boulder Junction community probably next month. This is something that has come in different iterations based on compliance and honestly willingness from RTD. So once we have that ready, I will certainly look to circulate that to this group, as I think it would be valuable for everyone who frequents the community in varying degrees of involvement, and one of the most essential elements to service resumption at the Boulder Junction Depot RTD station.
Thank you for sharing that, Will.
I will be signing off fairly soon, but if any other questions arise, feel free to email. It's will.shepherd@boulderchamber.com.
Okay, got that. Thank you so much, Will. Any other comments? Just double checking before we lose Will to yet another event. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands, so I would like to move on to the next thing, which is matters from staff. Yes, thank you, Will.
All right, thank you so much. We have our next item, Improvement District Analysis Update. Regan Brown's not able to join us this evening, so I think hopefully Matt Shazansky is here to walk you through where we're at with that work.
Yes, thanks, Chris. We are very excited to be taking the first big steps. We've been talking about this project for quite a while now, and getting your feedback and trying to make this right. And now we've been lucky enough to hire the Progressive Urban Management Associates, PUMA, and they are going to be our consultants on the improvement district analysis. And in just a second, I'll get to introduce our consultants to you and have them talk a little bit about their approach to the project and answer any questions that you have. Just a reminder before we go to introductions is that this is a project that will be looking at the near-term goals for all 4 of our general improvement districts, including both of the Boulder Junction districts. and examining the immediate future of the districts, what efficiencies we can gain, what moves we could make to achieve goals, how to balance the revenues versus the expenses and the management of assets, and the programming, while at the same time also taking a look if there's any big moves we can make to make improvements, even looking at the structure of all the different improvement district options that the state provides to municipalities, and see what we can do to make sure that over the next few years, Boulder Junction's prepared for everything that we need to accomplish, and that you can achieve your priorities. A note on this, that this is again a near term. We're taking a look at a couple years ahead. And we are also going to be starting a project later this year, which we're calling the we're calling the Boulder Commercial Areas Blueprint. And that will be our long-term vision, taking a look at the next few decades. So this will be our year to take a look at our strategy and make some decisions. We'll need your help with all of that, particularly at the March meeting. So I hope that you have circled your calendars now to have some deep discussions then. But I'll talk about next steps when we're done. But before we get into that, I wanted to introduce Brad and Amanda from Puma. Take it away, Brad.
Great, thanks, Matt. Can you all hear me out there in
Yes.
Zoom land? Okay, great. Well, first of all, thanks for making time for us on your agenda today. We appreciate that. Today, we just want to introduce ourselves in terms of our company, and then who Amanda and I are, a little bit about our background, our process moving forward, and then I think we'll have time for questions that may be top of mind. So, and we will take no more than 5 minutes to introduce ourselves. So, so I'm Brad Siegel, and I am the principal of something called Puma, Progressive Urban Management Associates. Our firm, there are 8 of us. So with Amanda and I on the screen, you've got a quarter of the firm right here at your disposal. We also have a couple other members of our team working on this project. We are a firm that is really downtown and business district focused. That's most of our work. We work nationally. We've worked over 31 years. We've been in 40 states, 300 communities. And we also have a track record with Boulder. So we and myself have worked with Boulder on and off for the last 25 years, both in the Hill and downtown. So Boulder Junction is new for us. The last thing I'll say about myself, I've been involved in community development, downtown revitalization work my whole career, so almost 40 years. I guess I always cough when I think of almost 40 years. That's a long time. And I got my start in downtown Denver. So that sign over my shoulder, that was on the storefront we had in lower downtown back in the late 80s, early 90s, when lower downtown was not what it is today. And then Puma goes over the last 31 years. Amanda, why don't you introduce yourself briefly?
Sure. Thanks, Brad. And thank you all so much for having us today. My name is Amanda Kennard. I am Vice President with Puma. I have been working with Brad and the rest of our team for the last 8 years on improvement district projects, both in the Front Range here and then also around the country. So I'm very deeply familiar with the different types of districts you have in Boulder, and looking forward to digging into them over the next couple months here.
So a quick word on process. This project, the tagline on it is fast and furious, because it is a fairly aggressive timeline here. We are scheduled actually already to present some preliminary impressions and recommendations to your city council in April. So over the next several months, over the next 3-4 months, we'll be heavily relying on all the planning work that's been done in the 3 major commercial areas. There is quite the stack of plans, as you're aware. We'll also be working with the boards of the different improvement districts. really to understand priorities, both near-term priorities and then also long-term. And I should mention that we're looking at this in a couple different ways. One is we're looking at the actual functions of what y'all do. We're looking at what sort of services, what sort of improvements should we be doing? But then we're also getting into the nuances of how these improvement districts operate. So getting into, you know, a little bit under the hood and really trying to understand how we can optimize these districts in each commercial area. So we are excited. I'm excited to be working in Boulder again. And it might sound really kind of nerdish, but that's who we are. That we're excited about working with these improvement districts, but we do think it's timely. The Hill, the downtown general improvement district's been around a long time, so they're a little overdue for some maintenance. With you guys, you're fairly new. And I know there are some issues related to near-term and long-term growth, and we'll be certainly looking at that. So, Matt, I mean, anything you want to add? And then we're here at your pleasure. So if there's some questions that folks have or some things top of mind, we'll do our best to answer them.
Great. Thank you so much, Brad and Amanda. Nothing to add to that. I think you summed it up really well, and we're excited too. And I guess I will underscore, this is going to be a fast process. It's going to be a matter of weeks to get this together. And so we'll be relying on you being smart and us being quick. And so I'll hand it off for questions, and then I'll go over some next steps.
I'm going to open it up for questions from commissioners. I see you, Commissioner Prant.
Yeah, sure. So I have a few questions. So what was the impetus for taking on the study of the 3 districts? Like, whose idea and why?
Yeah, this is actually a great question. Thank you for that. This is actually came together over the course of about the last 18 months because of the number of questions that have come up from all of our commissions associated with general improvement districts, as well as from the community and staff about exactly what the future of the districts is and how to best respond. For instance, the conversations that we've been having about the balance of taxation, about the transportation options for the future, about RTD's future, and making sure that we have what we need for Boulder Junction to be effective in the coming years. Just those questions that come up are complex and involve a lot of understanding of the governance of the districts and the conditions on the ground. And because of the number of questions that came up in all the districts, it was necessary to bring together a full project around this. We're also very aware of the connection that this will make with the Boulder Valley Comprehensive Plan that's being updated right now. And so we want to have these tools available so that you all can make recommendations, and ultimately City Council, as the Board of Directors for the General Improvement Districts, can make some decisions and need the information to back it up. So that is the basis for the general basis for why we needed to take this project on and do it so quickly.
So, all right, I have 3 questions. So question number 2, so then it seems like you'll be suggesting changes not only to structure, but also like, you know, more lighting. Is that correct? And is there funding set aside for this?
So, yeah, I appreciate that. I do not expect a lot of recommendations about big moves on programming or capital investments and new things to build and new things to do. We're relying on what's been studied and understood already for this first part. So this is more about achieving what we know we want to do in front of us right now. And so it is about the governance moves and efficiency, but it's less about doing sort of master planning for the district. The next project, that commercial areas blueprint, will get more into that. But we wanted to make sure that what we have right now are the tools to get done our current priorities before we build on future ones.
And you're doing the commercial areas blueprint, correct?
Yes, correct. That will be staff driven as well.
And my last question, in which case you might refer me to that, is like, how would I have citizen input to say, get rid of the downtown traffic loop? A pet peeve.
I think yes, that's something that we can bring up in future planning. I would also say like participate in the Boulder Valley Comprehensive Plan outreach. There's another way for your voice to be heard. Yes, let's keep an eye on that, Sue, and I'll make sure that your voice is heard on that for sure.
Okay, thanks.
And Chris, you have a comment about that? Oh, you're muted.
Darn phone. Wanted to just add to that. So yes, certainly the current planning conversations are revolving around the Boulder Valley Comp Plan, the commercial areas blueprint work that Matt mentioned coming up. And of course, the downtown CAN study is still on the project list for transportation and mobility. So there will be lots of opportunities to communicate desires for changes in each of the districts. Downtown will have a number of opportunities.
Ryan.
Thanks. Just a follow up to your answer, Matt, to Sue's first question. I put it in the chat. This is a follow up to the or an outcome of the was it called the district health survey we did last summer? Is that the case?
I apologize. I'm blanking on the district health survey.
Maybe it wasn't called that. I just remember
Yeah.
interviews with a different group, and we talked about the health of the districts and suggestions for improvements. Was that like an earlier part of this whole project?
It wasn't directly this project, but it is information that we're using in order to inform this. Yeah. But, you know, like I said, we'll be back to you in March. We'll be engaging closely with the commissions, and so we want to make sure that your voice is clear. So, you know, let's definitely keep your ideas on the table at the March meeting.
Yeah, sure. I just was trying to connect the dots.
Yeah,
because I remembered the earlier conversation. Okay, great. Thanks.
Are there any other questions? I am not getting any questions. And with that, I will leave it to Chris for his section with his staff update.
Oh,
Thank you. So go ahead, Matt. Oh yeah, next steps. That was just questions. Yes.
Real quick. Sorry, I should have jumped in earlier. Yeah, just before we move on, some real quick next steps. Like I said, we'll be back to you in the March meeting with hopefully just a ton of information. And in between now and then, we are going to be reaching out to stakeholders, both amongst the departments and in the community. And we don't know yet exactly how broader interaction is going to go. We're going to take a look at this literature review that Brad and Amanda are in the middle of and see what kind of questions we need to ask. But there may be an opportunity between now and then that we have a few questions that we want to ask and may reach out for your input on that. So keep an eye on your emails between now and then. We'll keep you updated, but certainly at the March meeting, we'll have a detailed discussion before we go on after that with our date with council in order to move that forward. We're expecting to wrap this up by June or July. So we'll have a report for you then, and we'll continue to talk. And if anyone has any questions or wants to follow up on any specifics, give me an email and we'll make sure to answer your question directly. Sorry. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Any more questions for Matt on the next steps?
Hold on, I just want to make sure. I'm just double checking the chat to make sure there's no questions there. Okay.
All right, real quick, on the update on letter to City Council, a number of our commissions had suggested that they would like to communicate a letter to City Council this year. And I'm not sure if that was some feedback that we got from Boulder Junction commissions or not, excuse me. But just wanted to give you all an update. The council has not requested formal letters from any boards and commissions at the city. They are getting ready for their midterm retreat. It'll take place during a regular city council meeting. I don't have the calendar up in front of me, but in about a month. And it's just to check in on their existing priorities that they set at last year's retreat. So they're not asking for new letters from commissions. They're basing their priorities off of what they heard a year ago. So just wanted to provide an update on that request.
Do we have any follow-up questions for Chris on that request? Rebecca?
Chris, I think one of the follow-up items was what is the process to submit a letter when letters have not been requested? And I believe you were going to either check with other staff or check with the clerk. So is the answer then that without a request, there is no communication back to council from the commission?
There won't be any communication that staff helps with. If they're at any time, if the commission wants to use their time to write a letter and get a nod of majority on the language of that letter, you are able to do so, and then we would submit that to the city clerk's office, and they would likely add it to a regular meeting packet. So there's nothing that prevents you all from doing that. It's just not something that's being requested from council, so staff isn't being empowered to help you all with the formation of the letter and doing that as we have in the past.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, just gonna say, Rebecca, I'm not sure the best way for us to communicate, taking into account the public meeting rules, but I'm happy to help, support writing a letter that goes through, the appropriate channel. So if there's a way we can figure out the best way to handle that, if it's just direct one-on-one emails or whatnot, and then we could maybe have something prepared by next meeting, or I don't know. Anyways, if we can figure out the way to coordinate, I'm happy to help with suggesting content or, drafting, proofreading, etc.
So two commission members are allowed to form a subcommittee that does not require public notice of said meeting, to form something together and then bring it to the formal commission meeting, which could happen in March, and for the commission's consideration.
Okay. Ryan, then I think we somehow have coverage then of both commissions between the two of us, just by basis of me being on both. I can send you my email if you want to form that subcommittee with me.
Sure. And then the proposal is you and I can draft something and then present at the next meeting during matters from commissioners.
Correct.
Okay. Is that later than you were hoping as far as a timeline for delivering a letter, or is that fine?
It is later than I was hoping because I was hoping that we would have a final one by this one, but we didn't get the answer on the process until now. So that being said, feedback at some point during a year is better than no feedback at all. So
Okay. Chris, do we need to have a vote with team members as far as the subcommittee, or is that just self-elected?
I think it would be helpful just to formalize that in the minutes of this meeting.
Great. So could I get a motion to create a subcommittee
I move
for
that
the letter to City Council?
I move that we create a subcommittee to share our opinions with City Council.
I second. May I get approval from the group?
Aye. Yes.
That is unanimous affirmative consent on that. Thank you, everyone. Does anyone else have any questions for Chris before we turn it over? Ryan?
If we draft something prior to the meeting, is that something we can work with the team at the city, Chris, just as far as sending it back out to the rest of the group digitally, like an email back to the group? Or do we need to present it just live at the meeting?
We can, no, we can do that. We can include it in the meeting packet. And I think we are allowed to, distribute something out even in advance of the meeting packet for consideration. There just can't be any back and forth discussion over email about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. thanks for clarifying that.
Thank you for that clarification. Are there any other questions? I'm not seeing any questions, so I will move on to matters from commissioners. And I do have a point here on the agenda that we are discussing finalizing the 2025 BJAD parking and BJAD TDM Commission's priorities. For those of you who are on the call, that is on page 30 of your packet. So it is the last page if you want to roll all the way down. And Chris, I know you just hopped off and you're having connectivity issues, but I guess my question is, are you asking us to vote on these today?
Yes, so this is just, we wanted to formalize for the year ahead. I think they they're just the reiteration of what we had from last year. If
Yeah.
there was any additional discussion, and we would just continue to include these unless there are any revisions that you all want to work through now.
Thank you so much. Do any of the commissioners have revisions that they'd like to discuss this time? Sue, I see your hand.
I just have a question. At one point, we were doing regular transportation surveys to find out like numbers, because I used it on my Dr. Cog grant, like how many people were coming in and out of the district by different modes of transportation. And I thought that there was some sort of like part of the organizing documents of the BJAD was like 30% had to use trans or something like that. Do we still do that? Do we still report on that?
We do, yes, and it's required to do every 2 years by the forming ordinances.
Okay. When
and
was the last time we did it?
That is a great question. I don't know for sure right at the top of my head because all the years kind of mesh together. But we do that in partnership with Transportation and Mobility, where the district pays for it and transportation leads it. So we'll have to follow up with Chris Haglund and confirm where is on their work plan.
Okay, it would be great to know for the next meeting, and if it was done, fairly recently, if we could see it. So.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Rebecca, I see your hand.
Yes, I just want some clarification. I think we discussed some of this, but just looking at the list, it's not clear to me how these things might possibly interact with each other. So the second one, TDM offering development, has probably some overlap with number 3, which is very specific. It's very clear what that priority is, to restore and expand RTD bus services to the Depot Square station. But then we have item number 6, which is transit enhancements. So the broad terms for number 2 and number 6, I'm not clear what this distinction is between those and what we're trying to do with those 2 priorities as listed here.
Ryan, are you speaking to that or another matter?
Yeah, I guess it maybe in support of Rebecca's thought that we have twice the number of priorities as we have commissioners. I mean, maybe we could be a bit more focused, and such as, like Rebecca mentioned, maybe finding a way to state 2, 3, and 6 more clearly as a single item, just as an example improvement we could make to this list. I don't know if that would help council, if that would help staff, if we were a bit more specific. I'm not sure.
Do you have specific wording you'd like to propose?
Well, I guess the way my mind works, I probably would say I could follow up with suggestions as opposed to coming up with them on the fly, but just that specific example, we might be able to just state it as what's listed in number 3, and then maybe and other, non-bus options or something like that at the end. Just kind of generalized, but I don't, it's hard for me to come up with it on the fly.
I think that's fair. I think it's a fair, I mean, like my own personal perspective on this too, is I think it's fair to combine some of these. I do like the idea of having some vaguer ones that allow the staff the opportunity to basically build around it. So for like what Rebecca just said, is number 3 is very specific and it's definitely in keeping with 2, but would 2 need to be there to allow for something else if it comes up as it does? And I want to point out that I do see Sue Pratt's hand.
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying, I agree that these could be really tightened up into like 5. I can't do it on the fly either, but.
So like for me, I'd probably get rid of, like, I'd probably put 9 as neighboring community collaboration and events. Because they're kind of like the same thing in my mind. I do see Jennifer Schreiber.
Hey everyone. Yeah, I a couple thoughts about this list. So one, appreciate the thought and input. To my recollection, so it would be helpful to get like a correction on my sense of the process, is that this came up at a couple of meetings. I want to say toward the end of 2024, maybe like the September and November. And I believe this was our attempt. I'm just wanting to revisit my own thinking. That's really what I'm going for here. So input on that is welcome. That we were trying to articulate what are the directions or the work or the kind of forward movement that we want to see happening in the district. So for example, I know I've been wanting to support TDM development in the district. And so post-COVID, post getting the bus station working again, we could take a look at what else makes sense. I know number 6 transit enhancements included specifically a couple of things were like bringing the hop bus up into the junction. There's I think it's called the Flex that goes up to Fort Collins. Like, so how do I say this? I feel like these did, in my mind, articulate different directions or possibilities, at least those few. Like the TDM offering is really like, let's open that up and think, here we are today. We've maybe got better resident and commercial people in the district. The RTD station is back. What can we do? So that question 2 is intended to be like an open-ended, how can we move this forward? And then number 6 is really looking at, since we don't have a train, but what could we do about bus connections? Obviously, number 3, getting the RTD service back appears to have been handled. It's somewhat out of our control, other than to say and make sure that people in the city are aware and working on it. So that's my input. And I wanted to just back up and check my original question of, am I recalling our process accurately?
Thank you. Ryan, I see your hand, but I just want to point out to staff that at least 2 commissioners have made notes on these that are now in the chat. So I'm just going to say those out loud so that we can have that in the recording as well. Rebecca said 3 could be more specific to non-bus offerings, car share, bike share, micro mobility, etc. 6 could be non-station enhancements, extend hop across 30th. 9 and 11 can be combined. And 7, the question from Commissioner Cook is that complete? Maybe that one could be removed. Yeah, I agree with that one too. That they did such a great job with the wayfinding. I see Matt, did I see your hand go up?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make a quick update on the wayfinding that the project is very nearly complete. We have right-of-way permits that are needed for I think 3 more, and then that project will be done with the wayfinding icons project will be done. So you know, it's up to you if you want to keep it on there, but we're in the home stretch.
I don't know how the rest of the commissioners feel. I would argue that we should keep it on there until it is completed. Jennifer Shriver, neighboring community collaboration, I think includes potential inclusion of other buildings, neighborhoods, businesses in the district, or in our TDM offerings. I think this is distinct from events. Sue has pointed out, maybe it's grouped into topics, revenue, infrastructure, enhanced TDM, or community outreach. So like those are bullet points and these are examples. That's possible.
Yeah,
It's actually really possible. That's, I think that
grouping it
like if
together,
there's,
so it's not, it kind of jumps around, that's all.
Rebecca,
This is a question for Matt. Do you expect the right of way to be resolved before the March meeting?
No, I don't expect that.
Okay, thank you.
any other questions? Or Rebecca again? Or did you put your hand down? Okay. Any other questions or comments? Chris, we just made a lot of adjustments. Do we need to hold a vote on those or do we need to have them rewritten and redistributed to the commissioners?
Well, I think, thanks for the question. Ellie's been working to capture the conversation on
Yeah, I see that.
screen. So if you feel like that's been adequately captured and you like how it's landed, then we could vote on it. Or we could work on cleaning this up based on all the feedback and then have the final vote at the next meeting.
Commissioner DiMichele, do you have a comment before we do that?
Yes, I just have one correction. So 3A should actually be 2A. I typed the wrong thing and then it was read out the wrong way. So that's just the.
Apologies for my error there.
No, it was me, not you, Commissioner Ronan. So.
I believe that, oh wait, Ryan, do you have a comment?
Well, I was guess maybe just going to try to answer Chris's question, and as a suggestion, maybe we vote on it at the next meeting.
Okay.
Just
How do the rest of the commission feel about that?
I agree. 'Cause
I'm
I didn't really
getting,
see the whole thing, so.
okay, so we're gonna have Ally go ahead and clean that up and then vote it at the next meeting. Which leads us into, of course, I closed my Adobe while trying to see that screen. Ah,
I can help you. We're still on matters from commissioners, so at this
yes, so
point, you
matters for
might
commissioners.
open it up for
Let's
anything.
open it up to you. I see your hand up, so let's go matters from commissioners.
So Chris, at the last meeting, we had an open inquiry into what TVAP Phase 2 was doing and whether or not we correctly had liaison involvement in Phase 2, because it's been quite a while since we've had an update from them or direct involvement. So do you have an update on our participation or how we can be involved?
Sure. So thanks for the question. There's been no change or no additional work on TVAT Phase 2 since the land use and transportation connections were approved by council. I think that was the middle of last year. So no additional work has happened related to that.
Ryan?
would that mean, Chris, that as the planning department comes around to it, that the next steps would be any zoning changes related to that land use, and then that would then free up, landowners to start making changes or planning changes? Is that like the long-term process?
Correct, and that's actually happening right now. There are proposals that are starting to come in for the parcels in TVAP Phase 2 that would trigger the land use changes as those developments come in.
Got it. Okay.
Sorry. I'm not seeing another raised hand, but I want to make sure all matters from commissioners have been considered.
I guess, you know, my interest in phase 2 planning as it relates to this commission is mostly just, one thing is around like kind of the continuity of function for the boards. Is there an expectation as properties in the district in the phase 2 area come online? Will there be a new GID, or will they start participating in this GID? I'm just kind of curious about how that might look, what the city's planning on, you know, long term for that function. So I think that's my motivation when I'm, you know, asking questions and interest about it. Why I think it's helpful to hear from them periodically is mostly coming from that place.
I'm glad you're thinking about that, because that is one of the questions that's being posed through this improvement districts analysis, acknowledging that we want to have the same types of access to resources for the properties east of the railroad tracks. And there are some limitations and challenges if we just continue to petition properties in because of the required catch-up fees and pilot fees. So that is part of this conversation in the improvement district's work that we'll be tackling through the months ahead. But I would say, just, you know, I don't want to share a lot of details because it's not through the planning process yet, but one of the proposals that is currently in is anticipating petitioning in to likely the TDM district.
Thank you for that update, Chris. Any other matters from commissioners? I'm seeing that as a no, which leads us to
Adjournment, I think.
adjournment. I think we just have adjournment. Nothing else, no matters from staff, nothing else. Thank you, everyone. Our next meeting is on March. What is that? Next meeting is March. Does anybody have the date available, just so we have it for the recording and
It
notes?
says 19th.
March 19th. I look forward to seeing all of you there, and I promise not to accidentally close down my packet midway through the meeting.
Although it does
Did a
say
great
Tuesday, and we don't normally meet on Tuesdays, so is that correct?
That's a good question.
It's not. It's a
March
Wednesday.
19th is a Wednesday, so it might have just been a typo.
Okay. We'll get a typo corrected for the next one. And other than that, I hope everyone has a wonderful evening, and thank you so much for your participation today.
Thank
Great
you,
job,
Robin.
Robin.
Thanks,
Amazing
everybody.
job.
Nice job, Robin.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
That was great. Bye.